Damn it. Why did I go on live? I don't even have everything set up. No idea if anyone. Hold on. Oh, can you guys see me? Wait, can you guys hear me? Is it working? What's going on? Wait, damn it. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I'm getting too old for this shit. Wait, how do I check? Thinking about changing my intro. Sup, motherfuckers? Oh, I see you guys. There we go. Hi. Hi. How are you all doing? All right, that's a good question. So we're gonna change. We're gonna up our mic volume. There we go. How are you? How you guys doing? Are you guys all having a good day? How is it now? Is it better? Cause that's I feel like that's pretty loud. No? What's going on, everybody? I'm trying to do a little bit of a test run here on YouTube to see how it works out. We have a lot of stuff that's working out for this weekend. Man, this tournament's taking a lot of time. Look at these look at this beautiful art. Look at it. Look at this beautiful art, man. We came in here. We were like, we're gonna run a tournament. Marima and Paul Blums did a very good job at organizing it. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna get the promotional stuff at least on my end. So if you guys can see the person who made this, it's actually she hand drew all of these characters. So I hope that you guys can give some love to her. Her Instagram is in the bottom corner. It's not geisha.art. It's geish.art. Oh, I love you guys too as well. And I hope that you guys give some look at this. Look at this. My own graphic designer put Streaming Grizzly on top of me. Motherfucker. Oh, that's to show some love to Grizzly. So you guys can watch this tournament. It'll be on both Twitch and YouTube. I am going to be on YouTube for an exclusive live feed for this tournament. I will be on YouTube. You guys know I normally do all my live feeds. I usually live feed 5 days out of the week. Anywhere between 2 and 6 hours. It's kind of like a shotgun. It's a miss or a take. And I'm excited for that. I did talk to the development team. I will update you on what the development team and I had a discussion on. Talk about some of the things that we're doing going forward. Talk about some of the things that I'm going to be doing going forward. I want to thank you all for supporting me with that Dead by Daylight stuff. Behavior Interactive, who are the people who created Dead by Daylight and stuff. I contacted them. They finally gave me the official content creator role for Dead by Daylight Mobile, which is an incredible opportunity. So I would like to give a shout out to Behavior Interactive with Dead by Daylight Mobile, and that's the thanks to you guys. Some of you guys just watch my videos even if you don't play the game. That's cool. Trying to expand to another video game is very difficult. That's why a lot of YouTubers they struggle with expansion. And you know, one of the things that I'm trying to do now is trying to do more than just Identity 5, but not letting Identity 5 go. I spoke with you guys as a community. A lot of you guys kind of woke me up a little bit. And again, I would like to make this very clear. I switched from Apple to Android, which, by the way, was the best gaming decision I've ever made, just so you know. I've been on Apple for 10 years, and Android, just their performance of their phones for higher tier video gaming just blows Apple out of the water. Unfortunately, with the Apple phones, they're overheating whenever I'm trying to play Identity 5 or whatever, and then that dims my screen, even when I shut that dim fucking feature off. So Android has really helped me out a lot. But unfortunately, with Identity 5, I cannot transfer my account from iOS to Android. So I've had to start a new account. But the thing is that I don't know if I was probably drinking beer because that's what I do. But I don't know what the fuck happened. But I was on the Asia server. And I mean, like, maybe one night I had like a couple beers and I was like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm going to become a top player in Asia server now, you know. But I don't care if I have 200 ping. I'm going to show them who's boss. I don't know what happened. All I know is that after the last live feed, I looked and I realized I was on the wrong server the whole time. Now, it's probably because of beer. I'm not going to lie. I don't pretend like I'm perfect, guys. All right. Probably shouldn't drink as much beer as I do, but fuck it. Whatever. It's something that I'll eventually address. But yeah, so finally I connected back to NAEU, and that's why some people are like, oh, he's making it up. Like, how would you mess up the server? Like, you should know your account. It's like, no, like I literally switched over to Android. I got an Android phone, and so I made a new account, but I made it on the Asia server. So, long story short, it feels good to be back. I am currently ranked 4th lawyer overall. Still learning some strategies with that lawyer. I think lawyer is a very scary character, specifically not in tournament gameplay, but legendary rank mode. I've been playing with Mirama, Call Me Duty a lot. So anyways, a while back, Ballblims and Mirama, they approached me and they were like, we should do a tournament. And I was like, all right, well, I'm busy expanding to Dead by Daylight Mobile. If you guys, for those who are watching, I am a top survivor in Dead by Daylight Mobile. I mean, I just absolutely slaughter a lot of these killers right now. And I had to invest about over 400 hours into that video game because I wanted to be good in Dead by Daylight Mobile. I've played PC. But trying to transfer over to another video game requires a lot of time and energy. Excuse me. So I want to thank you guys for supporting me. That's been very great. I'm not going to leave Identity 5 behind anymore. So anyways, Mirama and Paul Blums approached me and was like, we should have a tournament. And I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to feel about it because you guys know, at the end of the day, whether you like Persuadable or not, at the end of the day, I still had the servers back. I said, I'm not going to MC because we don't have a regional tournament. Regardless of whether you guys agree with my style or not, at the end of the day, same thing that when I first started as a YouTuber, I always said, I'm gonna put my friends and fans first, and that's exactly what I did. I decided not to be an MC for the tournament, and you know, and it was all due respect to NetEase. I understand where I do to a degree understand where they were coming from, because the summer tournament was a disaster, guys. It was just awful. Summer tournament was awful, but from my standpoint, I'm like, I don't really care. We have a lot of competitive gamers. You know, that's my priority. You know, not a big company, you know. And at the end of the day, you can disagree and still have respect for each other at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of the day, at least NetEase, at least this game isn't pay to win like all of the cash cow systems out there, like Supercell games like Clash of Clans and shit, right? So you gotta balance the amount of times that I complain versus, all right. Anyway, so I contacted a development team about this tournament, and Paul Blims and Mirama. I told Paul Blims and Mirama, listen, I can't organize this tournament. I've already organized other tournaments for NetEase in the past. I can't do it right now. I'm expanding. At the time I had patients with COVID-19, so you know. Then so I'm expanding to Dead by Daylight Mobile. I'm not even consistent on YouTube. And then, you know, I have COVID-19 patients in my building and stuff. So then next thing I know, I'm on self-quarantine for 14 days. Can't leave my house, really. And anyways, But I told him, I go, once you get everything organized, I'll be on board. I told him from the beginning, before the tournament was even organized, I was like, I will be on board, but I can't do it now. So Mirama and Problems has done an amazing job. And I actually returned to Identity 5, I think, at the worst moment. I think so much has happened. I'm like, yeah, like I'm going to come back to Identity 5. Boom. Fucking Mercenary is nerfed. Mechanic is nerfed. Magician is buffed, which is going to be a video soon. No one's talking about the Magician buff, right? All of these things. Explorer is buffed. Doctor is buffed. Lawyer is buffed. Wu Chang, he's got his shit going on. You got the Patroller thing. You got Dream Witch, and I'm just like, honestly, I feel I feel like I walked into a gangbang. I don't care if that's inappropriate. I just, I open the door to be excited about like whatever's inside the door, coming back to Identity 5. Like, hey, like I'm just gonna like tiptoe my back way, and the next thing I know, there's just naked people all over the place. I'm like, fuck it, I'll join in. Let's go. Right? There's no way I can be the worst one out of everyone, out of all of these naked people. There's no way I'm the worst. So, anyways. So there was a lot to work with, and then I'm trying to balance between Dead by Daylight mobile launch and the Identity 5, like all of these damn changes. Like I'm like, Jesus, there's so much going on. So, and I came back. So the thing that I want you guys to know is that I never stopped watching Identity 5. I never stopped reviewing high tier gameplay. I did a little bit, but nothing too bad. So now I have time. Anyways, so let's fast forward. Okay, so we got this tournament coming up, right? I would like to give another shout out to my graphic designer. My graphic designer has custom drawn all of these. My graphic designer has made custom cards out of everyone. So every single player in this tournament will have their own custom card that's been specifically designed for them. And I told my graphic designer that I wanted it to look like, I didn't want it to look overly like professional. I wanted it to look like as if I wanted to look like almost as if it was a journal entry. Like I wanted it to look like genuine, like almost as if somebody was doing this in their own journal. And that because that's the premise of the detective. That's pretty much how it works. And I think she did a great job with it. I didn't want it to look, I have a picture on my Instagram of what the stat cards are going to look like. I wanted it to just be white with just, text. I kind of wanted it to look a little cheesy, to be honest with you. But she custom drew all of the characters. And these are the 8 clans that are going to be here. So anyways, let's talk about the development team. So I talked to the development team. And first of all, the development team was very excited about the tournament. That's a true story. And they even promoted it on the official Discord. They even said that for future tournaments, NetEase will provide custom graphics for us if we give them enough time, which was very genuine. And then another thing, there's some things that I can't talk about, but let me make this clear. If this tournament goes as well as what I think it will, the server will be better off in the future than where it is currently in terms of like tournament gameplay and stuff. Because the summer tournament was such a disaster. So, yeah, and I couldn't be part of organizing the tournament because at the time I was working very close with Call Me Duty and AO. So with the summer tournament, I didn't want to be too affiliated. I didn't want to MC for a summer tournament or any of that stuff, because I was too affiliated with Call Me Duty and doing a lot of trial runs with AO and working on that and practicing for the summer tournament. And when they were in their matches, that final match against Boosted Clan, I told them there was a certain part of that match where I told them exactly what they needed to do. They did it. It was a victory. So even with the summer tournament, though, I still helped the administrators as much as I could, etc. So I think that this is going to be a positive experience for the server. I'm honestly trying to just kind of move forward, because at the end of the day, if you do nothing but bitch and complain about, what happened with COA 3, then I'm not going to get anywhere, guys. I'm not going to get anywhere. Nothing's going to get done. So I stood where I felt like I needed to stand. And I did what I needed to, and at the end of the day, it's like, all right, Persuadable didn't do the MC thing. I didn't want to. I stuck up for, in my opinion, for what I felt was best for the server. And I think NetEase is listening. I actually think that they're really, really listening. I think that, here's my prediction. I think that tournaments will come back. I do. I think tournaments will come back. I think that the server will be taken a little bit more seriously. And if everything goes according to plan, then you guys should be able to see Grizzly and I in COA 4. That would be probably the best circumstance. So everything, I feel like there's a mutual benefit to both parties listening, and it was a great experience. So we'll keep doing what we're doing. We do have this tournament coming up on Saturday and Sunday. This is actually a test run right now because I am going to be doing this on YouTube. I'm not going to be doing this on Twitch. If I'm not your cup of tea, which I totally understand, you guys can see it on Gaming Grizzlies. And hold on. In terms of the MCs at that tournament, I think that they did a great job. One of the things that you guys have to remember is that when you have like an hour and a half intermission between teams, that's a lot to. We back? I like how everyone's like, we back. The thing that I'm worried about this tournament is, for some reason, with my internet connection, for some reason, on OBS, this gets disconnected. I think we might be getting disconnected again. Okay. So this is also a test run, because what we have going on here is that sometimes I think my internet kind of slows down. No, there's no Elgato. It's just my internet. I don't know what it is, and that's something that we're gonna have to figure out. But this is gonna be a good test run for me to figure out exactly what's happening here. I think it's that my excuse me. I think that it's my internet. It randomly gives out, kind of comes and goes, and that's gonna be a problem for the tournament, which is what I'm a little scared about. Is it still currently lagging? Oh, I didn't see. Oh, Marima super chat. What's going on, Marima? Damn it, I missed it. So this is a little bit of a test run. This may be a little bit of a boring stream for you guys, but I really need to figure out why it's doing this, because it does kind of give out at times. So I may have to call up my internet provider by tomorrow to see what's going on with that, because I live pretty much in the mountains right now. And I may have to call them up to see what's going on, because that's going to be a disaster if mid-tournament we have my Wi-Fi dropping out. It's actually, I'm not even running on my Wi-Fi, though. I have this hardwired in through Ethernet. So we'll have to try to figure this out. What's going on, Marima? Wait a minute, what happened? Let me see something. Oh my god, Marima, you did your voice reveal? Marima did her voice reveal. Marima, hold on, let me see this. Oh my god, I'm watching your YouTube video right now. Hold on, I'm gonna post this in the chat. Hold on. I'm gonna spam more than you guys. Hold up. I gotta hear this. I gotta hear the first thing you say. We're, oh, your voice. Did you record the parts where you yell at me and Duty and finesse a lot? Did you record those parts? Rama? Wait, which one is this? Did I do good in this video? Oh my god, did I say anything inappropriate? Why am I so quiet in your video? That's probably why you chose this video. Oh yeah. All I do is like fast forward it to 6 minutes in and I just hear me say, oh, I should have been paying attention. Oh, that's the one where, oh, that's the match that I kited that clown for 100 seconds and he didn't even hit me as a lawyer. Bada bing, a bada boom, a lot of things I gotta do, and when I clean my room, I use a motherfucking broom. Congratulations on your voice reveal, Marimo. That's awesome. Oh my god, I'm so happy for you. All right, so let's see what we got here. So it doesn't seem like it's dropping too much. So, hey guys, chat, I need you guys to talk to me here, okay? When it dropped out, did it come back really fast? Like when it dropped out, did it come back in like 10 seconds or so? No. How long did it take for some of you guys to come back? Like 20 seconds? For those who say that it took about 20 seconds, was it up to date from there? About 15, 20 seconds or so? Okay. I gotta figure out what to do here because I don't want this internet to be dropping out during live feed. But honestly, I think it's during the night. Like what I'm realizing is that sometimes when this stuff when my internet drops out, it's usually during like nighttime. Whereas during the mornings, which is gonna be 10 a.m. my time, we don't really have too many issues. For those who watch me on Twitch, we don't usually have too many issues during morning rank session, right? For those who watch me on Twitch during morning session ranks, we don't usually have an issue, right? That would have usually it's pretty good. Or okay, so I think it's just about the timing of the internet use. So I'm hoping that we're gonna be good. But what we're going to do, I might create a banner. And worst case scenario, if we have technical difficulties, worst case scenario, then we'll let people know where to go on Twitch. So there's going to be 3 different areas to watch this. It's going to be on Twitch, it's going to be on Facebook, and then it's going to be on YouTube. Because I don't see too many issues now. But I did see that it dropped down, drop frame. I could lower the bit rate. I'm wondering if that would work. But I don't know if it will. Because it's still saying we got about 2% drop frames. Hmm. Well, hopefully this isn't an issue when it comes time for the tournament. All right. What team do I think is going to win? No. Every time I do this, I get in trouble. Every time people ask me to predict the winner, then fucking every other clan gets pissed off at me, and then they hold it up for 2 years. They hold me hostage for 2 years. We're not doing. All right. What was it? 2000? Never mind. I can't even say that. That'll cause so much drama. Either way, I'm just. Oh man. There's somebody I want to call out so bad right now, but I gotta. That whole like you gotta keep your mouth shut thing. That's a real thing. You want me to give you a dad joke? You guys want a dad joke? All right, I'll give you a dad joke. I looked this up earlier. Ready? A man has been stealing tires off of police cars lately, and the police are working tirelessly to catch him. You get it? Because he stole the tires and they're working tirelessly. Tirelessly? That's who the fuck comes up with this stuff? I'm only good at penis jokes. I can't. The dad joke stuff, I always gotta Google that stuff. Tirelessly. Who sat there one day? You know for a fact that dude was either high or drunk when he came up with that joke, or girl, whatever. It's 2020. You know, but I shouldn't be really talking about the whole drinking and stuff like that, because drinking beer and stuff like that, the whole being addicted to something is a serious subject. I was addicted to soap once, but now I'm clean. You weren't expecting it. You weren't expecting the back-to-back dad jokes. You weren't. Just give it to me. Give it to me. Just admit it. You weren't expecting it. It's okay, boo-boos. You don't have to laugh. You don't have to think it's a good. But you were not expecting the back-to-back. You were not. I don't want to hear it. Don't give me that shit about you expecting Notre Dame to look the way that he did. I don't know. No way. No way. I deserve a sticker. I wish if I had a sticker, I would take it, put it on my own shirt. But I'm gonna sticker around here. We're gonna add that to the to-do list. We're gonna add a stick. I do have a glue stick though. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh god, it's so funny. All right, I got one more dad joke for you guys. Okay. You guys ready? If you want one more dad joke, I'll give you one more dad joke. If you don't, you can say no. You guys want a dad joke? Just one more? I'm laughing before I say. This is such a bad joke. It's one of my most favorite jokes. It's not funny. It's not funny. I know I'm gonna. You know what sucks is that I'm laughing so much. I'm laughing so much that I'm gonna kill the joke because people are expecting they're expecting a knee slapper. They're expecting like top quality 5-star restaurant, but instead you're about to get the McDonald's. Like that's what. All right. I absolutely love this. I've been saving this one. You guys ready? I am crying. This is just how I am as a person. I'm very easy to. I'm one of those people where if you give me food, and it's the wrong food, as long as I don't gotta pay more, I'm gonna eat it. Like whenever I go and watch a movie and I look at the movie critics and stuff, and everyone's overcomplicating the movie, there wasn't enough foreshadowing within the first 4 minutes. I'm like, dude, I thought the movie was pretty fucking dope. Why do you guys gotta do this to me? So I'm a pretty simple person. So that's why I like dad jokes. I'm just a simple dude. All right, you all ready? What has 2 butts and kills people? An assassin. I'm going to spell that out. Hold up. Because if you don't know why that makes sense, what has 2 butts and kills people? An assassin. Because the word ass is in it twice. I don't fucking care. I don't care. It's one of my favorite jokes ever. I don't even care. If you don't laugh at that, I can't convince you to save hamsters. That's it. I don't know where that came from, but whatever. So anyway, I'm telling you though, if you remember that joke, you will never forget how to spell assassin. Right? You ever like sometimes like you're writing something quick and you're like, shit, like where's that? Is there 2 S's? Is there 2 A's? Wait, how does that spell? Yeah, well now you will never not spell it. If you ever get entered into a drunk spelling bee, you will know how to spell assassin because that is my job. Persuadable, I am an educator. Oh man, that's so awful. That's such a bad joke. Anyways, I'm still doing a test run. We still haven't had any drops, right? I may have a little bit like a little banner made just in case if frames do drop or we get disconnected, it should come back up. Why would you need to remember to spell assassin? Imagine if somebody was trying to kill you and you only had 5 seconds to write on a piece of paper what was happening for the FBI. You're welcome. You're welcome. Don't thank me. It's okay. Not all superheroes wear capes. I don't know what happened to Roxanne, to be honest with you. All right, I'm going to start trying to read the comments now. When Persuade doing the MC thing, trolls and dad jokes all the way. Yeah, actually, I made this joke on Instagram. There's a lot of people asking why Cats and Grizzly will be on Twitch and Persuadable will be by himself on YouTube. And, you know, the answer is that, you know, it takes 2 of them to do it. I can't even finish that joke anymore. I feel awful making that joke. No, it's gonna give Cat some good experience with the MC in life, and we're really just trying to make it so people from every single social media aspect can can watch the match. So Persuadable, you and Cats have a feud or something. He's dissing you to go back to DBD. Oh yeah, no, Cats and I have a Cats and I have a great friendship. I dissed him so bad I've never heard him actually be quiet before. He just started laughing. We were just like yelling at each other one night, right? Now we actually have a great friendship. We've never even had an argument. We just joke way too much. And we're just going back and forth. And I'm like, Cats, you named yourself after the one animal that nobody will ever adopt from an animal shelter. How does that feel? Like when you go into an animal shelter, 9 out of 10 times you don't go there for a cat, you go there for a dog. So how does he just got so quiet? He's like, "What? Jesus, dude." I was like, yeah, I think that was a pretty bad one. And then I made another comment. I go, Cats named himself Cats because he likes when he can rub things on his body that feels like sandpaper. And that was kind of like a joke about a cat's tongue. But like the thing about Cats is he always got something back to say. You know, he can't admit defeat. He's always got something, and I always got something. There'll be times where when there's like 5 of us, 6 of us in the voice chat. You know, there's quite a bit of us, and just Cats will say one little tiny thing, just one little fucking thing to poke the bear. Not the grizzly, the Persuade. Poke it, say one little tiny thing. And just, that gets me going. That gets him going. Next thing you know, there's like 6 of us in chat. Everybody leaves the chat, and then it's just Cats and I. And then like 5 minutes later, they all come back, and Cats and I are still going on. They're like, fuck it, whatever. And they just leave. Oh, man. Yeah, Cats is an okay guy. He's an okay guy. He's he's like that person that you invite to your wedding because he's probably not going to be invited to any other weddings. You know what I mean? Like that. He's like the Toby from The Office. No, I'm just kidding. Cats is a great guy, guys. What I love about Cats is that he never takes himself too seriously. He's always got a great sense of humor. And that's why me and him have such a great relationship, a great friendship. Friendship. He's a great dude, man. He really is. There's a lot of YouTubers who are definitely fake as fuck. There's definitely a lot of them, but Cats is not one of them, and Grizzly's definitely not one of them. Those two are genuine guys, man. What you see is what you get. That's why YouTube is easy for me. 1 minute you get the more abrasive side of me, the next minute you might get the more sensitive side of me. You never know. I think a lot of my fans, they say that when they come to my live feed, they don't know what to expect. Because some live feeds are super like laid back and chill. And then the next live feed, I'm like super hyper. And then the next, like, we're talking to people about their, mental health issues and things. And next minute, we're just listening to music and playing. You never know what you get with me. But Grizzly is a consistent guy. And Cat is definitely a consistent guy. They're both good. Cat, what I like about Cat is that, and Grizzly, they both have something in common. There's nothing more annoying than that one friend that doesn't understand when to knock it the fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, they just, you have those friends who just they only joke around, and that can be very annoying. It can be great when you invite that person to a party because that's what you're looking for. But there's times where it's like, yo, I need to talk to you about something. I got some, stuff. That's what friendships do. They talk. And there's some people who don't know how to filter that. And then there's some people who are too serious, right? They're too serious. They have no sense of humor. They're just very stiff. Nothing wrong with those sorts of people, right? Either one. But for me, I really need people in my life who know, all right, this is business. This is serious time. Let's talk. Versus, hey, like, let's just fuck around and don't get too sensitive about the jokes. And you can't really train somebody because there's a line on your end where you need to have that common sense and understanding what is that line with someone else, but that person also needs it. And so there are some relationships in your life where you have to force it, right? Think of your in-laws or think of, your cousins or whatever. I don't know, maybe your brother and sister. But you have to force trying to make the relationship work. But then there's other people where it just naturally works. You just naturally understand when you can fuck around, how far you can go with that person, right? Because you can go to different lengths with different people, right? Like dark humor. There's some people who really are in the dark humor, and then there's some people who are not. And then there's some people who are in the dark humor, and they know when to appropriately use it. And then there's other people where they don't. They don't understand the social cues, and they're inappropriate all the time. So with Cats and Grizzly, it's never those issues, man. We know, like, when it's serious time, like, Cats knows if Cats ever comes to me and he's ever like, yo, Persuade, I really need to talk to you, all the jokes go out the window. Fuck the jokes. Jokes are out the window. We ain't got time for that. We got to talk about what's going on. Why you here? What's going on, right? And that's what I really like about Grizzly and Cats, because there's no work involved in my friendships with them, man. We just get it. We understand each other. Whereas there's other people where you're like, fuck, here we go. All right. What'd I do? Did I look at you the wrong way? Gonna be a fight now? Oh, okay. So it seems like we haven't dropped yet. It seems like we haven't had another drop in our stats. Seems like the frame rates have gone down a little bit. Not bad. So it seems like we got this. Yeah. Somebody asked me if I've been playing another video game other than Dead by Daylight and Identity 5. The answer is yes, actually. I'm working on my first video game review, and that's what I've been spending a lot of my time on today. I've been playing this other game, and I'm hoping that I can release the video within the next day or two. Right now, this tournament is soaking up my entire life, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on in regards to getting the graphics done. That's more of Geisha's than organizing some things. But my game reviews are going to be super cool, man. I'm telling you, I think you guys will like my game reviews because, yeah, I'm just going to tell you straight up, do I fuck with the game or not? That's it. We're not going to go into 9 different categories. We're not going to talk about, the music and the graphics. I'm not doing that. Nope. We're going to do like a 10-minute review of the video game. I'm going to tell you about the different assets of it. And then I'm going to genuinely tell you whether I fuck with the game or not. That's simple. But the big thing is what I call the persuader radar. That's what I call. Actually, that's not definitive. I'm going to edit that. But that's my way of telling you whether a mobile game is pay to win. There's 3 different categories. There's pay to engage, which I am not against, right? That's like a free video game, but it tells you to, buy a character. Like for actually, Identity 5 can be considered pay to engage. Is there an area where you can play for free? Yes. Is there an area where you can pay to engage to get the better characters? For sure. And then you have pay to play. Now, pay to play are the games where you can expect yourself, if you really want to stay up to date, you'll probably have to pay a little bit of money into it over time and continuously pay over it. That's not that big of a deal. It's the pay to win shit that I can't stand. I cannot stand pay to win games, right? And I don't like games that give you a competitive advantage just because you have a bigger wallet. We see this with whenever a company, I had one douchebag dev contact me about his game. And he's like, oh, we're offering a free video game. And it's like, that's totally cool, but your business model sucks. Why am I obligated to pretend like I have to agree with your business model just because it was the only business model that your tortoise brain was able to think of? That's not my obligation. I'm a consumer. I have every right to look at your game and say, hey, I don't really agree with this and I'm wasting my time and I'd rather spend my time on a different video game. And so I have a feeling that 90% of the video games I play, I'm going to tell you not to play them because they're probably all pay to win garbage because that's the mobile market. But I am starting the series with a game that I do recommend to play. Is it pay to engage? Yeah, it is. You can pay to get certain characters that will help you out, but is it pay to play or pay to win? Not really. No. Actually, once you unlock the characters you can play, you can still kill the characters. And there's no level factor within each character. Once you unlock the character just like Identity 5, although it's a first-person shooter. And if you guys are interested in the game that I'm talking about, and by the way, I'll tell you straight up, I'm not paid for this. I don't talk to the developers. If I ever do an advertisement, I will let you guys know. The game that I was experimenting with was Area F2. It's kind of like a Rainbow Six Siege. Pretty good. It's a pretty cool game, and it's going to be the first game that I start my my review and game series on because I do recommend it. It's a pretty cool game. Right now, all the characters are free, and so I think that it's a pretty cool game. Do you have to pay money to get certain characters? If you feel like it, you can grind your way up there, but there are certain characters you'd have to buy. But those characters aren't like leveled up. It's not like Clash of Clans or any of that garbage where you can spend $1,000 to level. It's not like that. It's like Call of Duty Mobile to a degree. Well, not really, but it kind of is. And those are the games that I want to advocate. And these people don't even have to advertise with me. They don't have to pay me. I don't care. I don't care about any of that shit. What I care about is telling you guys which games to stay away from, unless you want to invest $1,000 to have a competitive advantage against somebody. But those games are garbage. And actually, I think those games hurt the mobile market. And they hurt the mobile market because essentially that's why the mobile market has such a bad name. Everyone thinks that there's so many video games out there where you have to pay to get an advantage on. I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of games like, are there ways to buy characters to engage? Yes, you have Mobile Legends. That's how, comparison to League of Legends. But anyways, that's how Call of Duty Mobile is. That's how Identity 5 is. That's how Dead by Daylight Mobile is, where, yeah, getting characters can help you with your gameplay, but there's no difference between when you unlock those characters, and even with those characters, you can still get your ass kicked. So that's what I want this channel to also encompass. So I'm still going to do Identity 5, Dead by Daylight Mobile. But I do want to start doing some of these video games. And I'm going to start it off on a positive note, but it will probably get negative real quickly because I don't care. I'm going to be honest, I just don't fucking care. There's nobody out there that's saying, hey, this game fucking sucks. It's a waste of your time. Yeah, graphics are cool, engaging gameplay, awesome game that I would love to play if it wasn't so filled with this pay-to-win bullshit. And I'm going to be that guy because you know why? I got one life. I don't care. Fuck it. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Hey, if you want to waste, all your time and energy in this game that you will never be able to win because some douchebag has more money than you, by all means, have fun, have a field day. But if I can waste a day of my life to be able to figure out the market and realize, hey, maybe I can save your life, because there are literally, you know what? How about we give an example? What is that game called? Overdox? Is that what it's called? Hold on. We're going to YouTube this right now. I almost came out with a review on this when it first came out, but I was like, no. Overdox. Super fun game. Super fun game. But so riveting. Until you get to the point when you realize that you have to level up your character, or you can pay money to do it. And then this is the best part. Oh my God, this is so great. Well, you don't have to pay money. You can just level up naturally. Okay. So I'm going to play this game for 6 months at a competitive disadvantage. I'm going to lose at every neck of the woods so I can eventually be on the same level, the same playing field. And most of the time you can't, because they have that legendary armor shit and all that stuff. It's all garbage. It's a waste of your time. You guys have one life. You have one life. You have to, even if you don't think it's worth living, or whatever mindset you're in, or mental, your life is worth living. Your time is super precious. There's people who care about you. And I want you to invest your time into things that are worth it. And I don't care about how people want to quantify whether video games is worth that or not. That's a whole different discussion. But when you start playing a game and it's a pay-to-win garbage game, and then you play it for an entire week or 2 weeks, and then you realize, hey, there's no way, oh, I'm just going to invest $5 into the game. You invest $5 in the game, but then you start going into the matchmaking mode with the dude who invested $10. And then you put $10 in the game, and you get matched with dudes who spent $15. And then it's a chain reaction, right? So I'm going to start calling this out, because I don't care. Yeah, Supercell. Supercell is garbage. Oh my God, I would love for them to pay for an advertisement. Can you imagine that? We'll pay you $500 to do a 3-minute video. Do I have to be nice, boo-boo? Or like, am I allowed to be honest? All right. Anyways, guys, I'm getting way too fired up. See, I'm gonna get in so much trouble with this series. I'm telling you now. I'm gonna have so many companies hate me. But at the end of the day, I just don't care, because I'm gonna be honest. I don't care. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time and energy. You can waste your money or you can't. And I get it. It's a free-to-play game. Totally understand that. But it doesn't mean that I'm obligated. If you give me something to use, I'm going to tell you whether I like it or not. And I'm not going to break it down into some complex thing where you see these movie critics and all these things who talk about, I either fuck with the game or I don't. This channel going to be simple, boo-boos. And whenever somebody says free, like somebody just said, right? And I appreciate that, Zachary, right? When somebody says free to play is difficult, why? Identity 5 is one of the most popular, profitable games in the world. Maybe not United States, but in the world. Dead by Daylight is not doing bad. Call of Duty Mobile is insane. And that's not pay to win. There are business models out there, and a lot of companies, what they do is they understand that the mobile market has benefited from cash cow systems. And so instead of trying to innovate it, which they don't have to, by the way, they're a business. That's not their obligation. But as a consumer, I'm just going to tell you, hey, I don't like playing games where I have to invest $2,000 in order to play other top tier players like Supercell games such as Clash of Clans. So, sorry, boo. But I'm going to be honest, right? I think it'll be a fun experience. But anyways, guys, I'm getting fired up. I'm trying to calm myself down. I genuinely, when people are like persuadable, like, yo, like I have to literally tell myself during live feed, I'm like, calm down, persuadable. You're getting fired up about a subject that you brought up that nobody asked about. So, but yeah, so anyway, I plan on going that route as well. I want it to be funny. I kind of want the review series to be funny. So we'll go with that route as well. Do we have any questions? Because we have no questions, and I can just say hi and bye. Do you guys have questions? We can answer them. You forgot to say the intro in the beginning of the stream. Oh my god, Maj, you know what? You are right. Pop, 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 persuadable. What's the history between you, Duty, Mirima, and Finesse? So, Duty and I were part of AO during summer, and then both of us left before the Call of Abyss. And so Duty and I are like best friends attached to the hip, and we've practiced a lot. And Duty is very, very close friends with Mirima, and Finesse is somebody, bada bing and that bada boom, a lot of things we gotta do. Hey, whoever just followed me on Twitch, little cakes, whoever you are, I appreciate that. Yeah, every time somebody follows me, I usually dance on live feed. Man, we got so many new follows on Twitch. We got like over 500 or 600 in the last 28 days. Anyways, yeah, so that's how we know. Finesse is somebody that we used to play with for a long time as well. Finesse is the troll. So, do you need to get to the Palace Persuadable? Not a good route. Dude, you need to get to the Palace Persuadable. Not a good route. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. What happened to your outro song? The outro song got copyrighted. So, the outro got copyrighted, which I didn't know that it was a copyrighted song. So it was pretty cool. I didn't get in trouble or anything. They're just like, you have to mute it. So I started muting it. And I've never made another outro. And the reason why we haven't made a new outro is because I am currently getting my logo updated. And so I'm investing a lot in a new logo. It's still going to be the same theme, a purple toad. But I want it to look way different, way more polished. And then once that's made and we got the banners and the YouTube, then I can make an outro with that official logo. So that's where we're kind of going with that a little bit. Persuadable. So you need to persuade. Do you remember Shrek? The movie? Shrek the movie was a good movie. Do you mean the player? Yeah, Shrek was a great player. Shrek 2 on DVD or whatever his name was. Yeah, he was a great ripper. Can someone tell me why Persuadable isn't on Twitch? Is this only a test and strictly a test? What's going on, Dark Human? Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a YouTube exclusive live feed for the tournament on Saturday and Sunday, but primarily all my feeds are on Twitch. I have oh shit. Do you like dedicated servers on DBD? Eh, it's whatever. Doesn't bother me. Will you stream on YouTube tonight? Probably not. Why is the category of the game DBD? Is that my live stream? I don't know. Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Because I don't know YouTube. Persuade, what do you think about violinist adjustments? They are small adjustments, but what you think of them? I actually haven't seen the adjustments. What are the adjustments? Can you tell me? Remember when Persuadable used to be a top prospector? I don't remember that. What are the violinists? Is this on IDV? Honestly, I've been so busy, and I took a nap today because I'm coming an old man. I never take naps. But today I was like, today's a nap day. Let me see. What are the adjustments on the violinist? Remember when Persuadable always bragged about never lagging? No, I don't really remember that at all. Okay, thank you, Daku. Carry me to Griffin. I'm almost at Griffin. Kind of. I think I'm tier 4-3, which isn't bad in less than 2 weeks. So, yeah, I did. All right, let's see. Yeah, my forward gameplay is bad now, man. I'm not gonna lie, my forward, because I'm messing with the sensitivity, so. I'm working on a lawyer guide right now. It's almost done. Let's see, Persuadable, remember when you were a good player? Yeah, I do. Great times. Persuadable used to say that Priestess was a no-skill character. Well, I mean, she wasn't. Just use a damn portal and She was broken. She was so broken, and that's why she got nerfed like 3 times. I can be a little abrasive though. I should never say a character requires no skill, but remember when you're the best in Identity 5? Oh wait, you still are. No, I'm no longer the best, my friend. We have some great high tiers now who are really into that competitive scene. They're great in that competitive scene. You know, you don't I think the biggest problem with Identity 5 is still trying to prove that you're a good player. Just play the game. Let the viewers decide it yourself. That's something that I've learned over the time. They adjusted his hitbox on normal, heavy, balloon, and bounce attack. They also adjusted his strings attack, judgment time, and effect. Doesn't sound like anything at all, to be honest with you. I suck at kite and persuade. Transitional kiting is more important than tight kiting any day of the week. If you do not know how to rotate, if you do not know how to transitional kite, you're in big trouble. And that's very hard to do in solo mode. I remember when Persuade was #1 EXP in Identity 5. That's so funny. Why does GR literally win all the tournaments? Because GR is amazing. I got to meet GR. I think I have a photo with GR. I have a photo with GR on my Instagram. You guys go on Persuadable. You guys got to scroll down a little bit, but it's there. GR, they're interesting folks. How old is PPX? I don't know. Enchantress takes less skill than Priestess. So that comment though is based on when Priestess was overpowered. We're talking last year in February, March. So almost a year ago. Actually, over a year ago. So that's when that reference was. We're not talking about Priestess now. Will you ever do another Persuade Talk videos? I love the vertical human concept. Oh, I don't know yet. I don't know what we're doing with that, to be honest with you. We'll see. We'll work on it. I've learned a long time ago to keep. I learned a while ago to keep my mouth shut and to not talk about shit that I can't follow through with. You know, especially as a YouTuber, you come up with all these cool ideas, and you're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then you don't do it, and then everyone's like, what's going on? So just hang tight. We'll see what happens. Is Met going to be used on high tiers in tournaments as much as she's used now? I honestly think that we may see less mechanic, to be honest with you. That's my gut instinct. There is no way for me to validate that, by the way. But she's definitely not as good as what that nerf was. That nerf was big. And to be honest with you, that's how mechanic probably should have always been. She's always been overpowered. So the question is that the nerf that she got can still do maybe one generator. Or cipher, rather. She can do one cipher, which means she can still do 2 ciphers at the same time. I mean, if you think about that, that's still pretty good. But now she's going to have a consequence. You take the doll down, it's a lot more detrimental to her. And that's how every character should have been on release. Every character should be like, shit, there's a big consequence to using this character. And I feel like we've lacked that. So a lot of people have been using Mechanic, who's been severely overpowered since Season 1. Do you guys know that in Season 1, Mechanic used to give a 9% buff to your decoding speed to everybody on the team? On launch, when Mechanic was there, when you played Mechanic, everybody on the team decoded 9% faster. So she's had a lot. She was so overpowered. So she's been nerfed quite a bit. And I think people are so used to that now if something is more balanced, they may say, hey, I don't want to use it. Yeah, that is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing for sure. Something I'm curious about. In the tournament, there was almost no Wu Chang, but he is banned in China, right? Someone help me with it. So, Wu Chang You're not going to see a lot of them in tournament gameplay, but there's a lot of good Wu-Changs with over 60% win rate. Wu-Chang is better against teams that can't communicate verbally, and in tournament gameplay they can. So that's why there's a difference between tournament gameplay and ranked gameplay. There is a difference between the two. What's going on, everybody? How you guys all doing? Oh my god, you guys are so funny. You guys are so nice. Thank you. Hey, Persuadable, why do you say Feaster doesn't require skill? Oh, Feaster requires skill. Did I say Feaster doesn't require skill? No, I said Feaster is a lazy... Oh, and 2 versus 8? Nah, it's probably shit talking. Every hunter requires a certain level of skill, guys. Especially Feaster. Feaster actually requires a lot of skill in 1 versus 4. 2 versus 8, he's a lazy bastard. Or it used to be. I don't know how he is now. Got all the shit that I talked over the years are starting to catch up to me. Everyone's like, why'd you say this about this character one time ever? I'm like, how old is your graphic designer? Oh, I can't say that. I used to say that he was a B character, though. Yeah, he was a B tier character. I don't know where he's at now. I have to look at the numbers. Mr. Persuadable, are you excited about the new mode? Yes, I am. I'm very interested to see what this new mode entails. I think that it'll be a positive thing for Identity 5 because not everybody cares about rank mode after Legendary rank. But they need to make this way better than Blackjack mode. I don't know how you guys all feel, but Blackjack mode is so uninteresting for me. And that's also because I only play Identity 5 rank mode and 2 versus 8. So 2 versus 8 was really good. They did a very good job with 2 versus 8. Blackjack mode was just, I feel like it hit the mark. That's why nobody watches Blackjack mode stuff on YouTube. No one cares about it as much. So I'm hoping that this new mode, I think 5v5 was a very good implementation. So I think they're 2 for 1. I think they got 5v5 down. I think they got 2 versus 8 down. I don't think that they got Blackjack mode down. But it might be more popular in China, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how this mode works and when you can play it. Yeah, but even on low transmission, 40%, he is not that good and still kind of slow. Is Bonbon thick? Bonbon is definitely thick. How can you look at Bonbon and not look at that little penguin thick? Who do you think is winning the tournament? Oh, no. Back in 2018, in December, I told Booster Clan I didn't think that they were going to win. And Emrakul still hates me 2 years later. Everybody else thought Booster Clan was fine with it. Emrakul is just like, he's thrown a 2-year temper tantrum that's still going. He's such a funny. I went on the Blues YouTube the other day. I went on the Blue Race Cars YouTube. I almost said BlueTube. So I went on the Blue Race Cars YouTube, and he was playing Resident Evil. And I play that game occasionally as well. So I donated him $10 to Blue. And I was like, Blue, we should play this game sometime. And Blue, Blue read it because we used to play Identity 5 a lot together. And Blue was like, oh, yeah, like we should play. And Emrakul goes on there. He's like, I'll pay you double not to play with them. And I'm like, you still mad, Boo, that I told you? Yeah, you won the tournament. Relax. All right. What else we got? Yeah, BlueTube. I want to be able to get to top tier or whatever eventually, but I'm not that good. The big thing with top tiers is the amount of energy you put into it in transitional kiting. That's really the big thing. Excuse me, I did not mean to do that. How does your beard grow out so fast? I just water it. When you got noticed by Persuadable, Valexo. I remember Valexo. I hope Valexo is doing well. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Persuade, are you interested in... I'm not reading that word. Oh, you guys are going to make fun of me so hard. So, Persuade, are you interested in Danganronpa? Danganronpa. 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 I don't know how to say that fucking word. No, I'm not interested in it at all. I think it's cool though, because a lot of people like it. But I don't care about it, to be honest with you. I think it's a good thing for the server though, right? So I don't want to be cynical. I'm not being cynical. You've asked me an honest question. Do I care about it? Answer is no. I've never heard of that thing. I don't care about it. And I'm not going to care about it after this crossover event. But do I think it's good? Hell yeah, man. There's a lot of people that fucking find that, whatever that panda thing, whatever the hell that is, they find it cool and they find it dope and they're excited about it. So do I care about it? Me personally, no. But the fact that I see so many other people care about it, I'm totally cool with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, because one of the biggest problems is that, like, you have a lot of people who are like, they're very self-centered. So they're like, if it doesn't pertain to me, then it's stupid. But I can say it doesn't pertain to me, but I'm very excited that a lot of other people are excited because it's an opportunity for me to see other people happy about something. And that kind of gets me excited. That's just my personality. So I'm excited for them and the skins and whatnot that are going to come out for it. But am I going to go out of my way to buy something? No, probably not, but I never know with my personality. So we'll see. So that's kind of how I feel about that cross. I don't give a fuck about the crossover. But I've never cared about any crossovers because I don't think like that, and that's not my brand. You know, like, I don't care about skin. Like, I'll buy skins. I think that they're cool sometimes, but, like, my YouTube doesn't cover skin. I don't care. I care about how you play a game, whether the game's worth playing, and how do you win, you know, and being obnoxious, right? So that's kind of what my brand represents. The crossover event I've never cared about. I have never seen a crossover event that I actually got excited for. When I saw that you know what, actually, I thought that there was something wrong with me because when that crossover event got released, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's cool. It shows that Identity 5 is constantly innovating and stuff. So let me make that clear. I don't want to hear any bitching about that, okay? But I remember when it got released and I went onto the YouTube and I saw somebody write, I literally have tears in my eyes. I am so happy for this. And it made me so happy reading that comment. And then I'm like, why have I never felt that way about a crossover event before? You know, like, there's people who get really, like, really passionate about this sort of stuff. And I remember reading that comment and I'm like, why don't, like, whenever I'm like even when Edward Scissorhands or whatever, all those crossover events I've never cared for, ever. But, like, I've always been happy for them. I've never been like, this is a waste of time. Or no, like, what was that other one? The P1 shit? What is that? The one where Forward looks like he looks like a boy band from NSYNC. Well, what crossover event? I didn't care about that. Everyone was losing. But Dari was very, like, I think Dari watched that stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited for the community. I'm excited for you all. Don't think that I think it's a waste of time. It's just, you asked me, do I care for it? And the answer is no, I don't care about it. Persona 5, there we go. Whatever Persona, I never knew what Persona 5 was. I never knew what it was. I didn't care about it. But I was excited that everybody else was excited about it, right? So it's one of those things. It's kind of like watching your child play soccer. I don't fucking care who wins, but I'm happy that he's playing, right? I don't have a son, by the way. Is that weird? I shouldn't probably be. Oh, God, no children. Jesus. Oh, knock on wood. Okay, maybe I'm false. Yeah, because if they had some more, maybe if it was my anime crossover, yeah, maybe I'm wrong here. Okay, so Persuadable. If I'm a forward and someone dies real fast, should I rescue or keep decoding? It's gonna depend on too many circumstances. It's gonna depend on what your aim is. It's gonna depend on what your goal is. It's very blunt. I'd say try to go and set yourself up for a rescue because it'll improve your gameplay as a forward, even if you don't win. If you want to win, you might want to decode. But life is not about just winning; it's also about improving, and it might be a great opportunity for you to gain experience one-on-one against a hunter in that circumstance. Explorer character design is inspired by Persuadable, and no one can change my mind. Coraline crossover would be dope. I think Dead by Daylight would be dope if it had a crossover with. Yeah, alright, I'm not gonna lie. If there was like a One Piece crossover in like a weird fucked up way, give forward some sort of Zoro skin where he just charges in, that'd be pretty cool. Speaking of which, speaking of Sanji, why don't we have like a, do we have a, we need like a chef in this game where you can throw lettuce in the hunter's face. Little big one crossover. So, hey, Persuadable, when I'm the coordinator, should I save my flare gun for the end of the match? It depends on what your prerogative is, to be honest with you. So this is actually something that I've been, okay, so this goes back and, oh, okay. So the debate of the flare gun. So back in the day, Clown used to be the only hunter that everyone used. This was like before Geisha was a thing. And everybody used Clown. So a coordinator, it wasn't atypical for a coordinator to use her flare gun before, like, so if the Clown came after a coordinator, usually the Clown wasn't trying to down the coordinator. Well, he was, but he was really trying to get the coordinator to use her flare gun. And the reason being so is that you would want coordinator use her flare gun so you wouldn't have to worry about the rescue. But as a coordinator, you wanted to use your flare gun because then the Clown wouldn't get a hit. And if the Clown didn't get a hit, then he wasn't building up his ability to use his skill. He would have to use his attachment. So, but that was also a time when Mechanic had a 9% global buff to all decoders. So then there was a debate about whether you should take the hit from the Clown and save your flare gun for the rescue as a coordinator, right? So this is a very set circumstances of should you use your flare gun in the early chitin phase. Because the idea is that as long as you could last 2 or 3 ciphers, the game was pretty much over. This is when a lot of people used Mechanic, Thief, etc. Actually, back in the day, everyone thought Gardener was S tier. That's what inspired me to come out with a character tier list and be like, this is awful. So, when the regional tournaments happen, the majority of the teams, the coordinators that used their flare guns early game, ended up losing the match. So it was one of those things where it's like, what's the difference between the theoretical strategy and what really works? And it also depends on your team comp. So it's a difficult question to ask, but the majority of people would probably use their flare gun early kite if it meant that the hunter wasn't going to be able to level up as fast, which slows the game down, which helps your team out ultimately. My position at the time was to not do that. It might be one of the things that I was really wrong about now that I look back on. I remember writing a post being like, I would never use my flare gun to, but I was also a top kiter, so in my mind, I'm like, if I'm using coordinator, you shouldn't be hitting me to begin with. But you had some really good clowns that would just outsmart you at times. To use your flare gun for the first or the second rescue is going to depend on the chair that you're at. If you're at a very, very bad chair, then one of the strategies, so this is where it gets difficult. If you're at a really bad chair, it also, oh my God, see, these questions are never easy. It depends. Are you the coordinator going in for 2 rescues, or are you going for 1 and transferring out? Because it's going to depend on the rocket chair. If you're at a really bad rocket chair, not all rocket chairs are equal, then you don't really want to use your flare gun, because, especially against some hunters, because they're just going to kill the survivor anyways. But there's some rocket chairs where you giving me a flare gun, I'll be able to kite that hunter for another 30 to 60 seconds. So it depends on the situation. It depends on how many generators or ciphers are left. It depends on how many people are running Tide Turner. It depends on if it's legendary rank mode. It depends on if you have voice communications with everybody. And even with all of that being said, sometimes you're just never going to know. And regardless of any choice that you choose, sometimes hunters are going to just do a better job at you no matter what choice you make. So that's kind of like that's a difficult discussion to have. It's too hard to answer that question. One of the things that I'm really experimenting with, I'm not really experimenting with coordinator right now. I'm experimenting with lawyer. Watching Persuadable live stream while watching the maintenance finish is the best. Yeah. Hey, I try to come on live feed during the maintenance. We can talk. I can try to answer all your questions. I've been watching a lot of high tier gameplay again too. Trying to practice my MC. Oh my god. You guys should have listened to me trying to MC a match like when I was off camera. It was terrible. I was like, geisha, ability, it was awful. Hey, Persuadable, I hit champ with 180 plus ping. You said it gonna be hard on Twitch. It was, and it's not my account. Congratulations on hitting champion. Does Cypher Rush deserve to get a nerf or no? Hey, what's going on, Regret? So we would have to run some good numbers on that and see who is winning more, survivors or hunters. You know, if you have survivors winning at 70% and then you have hunters winning at 60%, does that justify it? Or does it justify it if it's 70 and 50? Well, that would make no sense. That doesn't hit 100. So 70 and 30. My numbers are so off right now. So say if they're winning 70, but then Hunter. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. That's false. Actually, that's wrong, because not all the numbers are accurate. So actually, the first numbers that I'm using are actually correct. If the average win rate of hunters, though, like top 100 hunters, are like 65, and then survivors are 55. I know to you it's like, wait a minute, that equals more than 100, but that's how the numbers work out. That's how the numbers actually work out. And it's not just top 100, because sometimes you have top 100 who are facing people who are top 125 or top 150. So when you only take top 100 hunters and 100 survivors, the last 10 are facing people who are outside of that criteria. So when you compare the numbers and you see 65 and 55, that's why you're seeing it. I wanted to emphasize that. So what I will tell you is this: in season 7, hunters were winning in the top 100 significantly more than the survivors. Let me pull up the data. At least in China they were. In season 7, the average win rate of the top 100 hunters in China, their average win rate was 63%. The average win rate of survivors were 45%. So that's the top 100. So that was in China. And then in Southeast Asia in season 7, the average win rate for hunters was 58.9%, but then the average win rate for survivors was 47.86%. So when you look at the top, now there's a few problems with this methodology. All right, so we know definitively that in season 7, hunters were the best hunters were destroying the best survivors based on legendary rank mode, because you can't enter those matches with 4 people or 3 other people, right? So we know that in the top tiers, hunters were winning significantly more than survivors. This is season 7, okay? That doesn't reflect tier 5s. That doesn't reflect the win rates in tier 4s. The question is do you balance the entire game based on 200 people when there's, millions of people who play the game? So do you only balance the game based on top tiers, top 100, top 200, when you have millions of people playing? Now, not in America. We have a smaller market. I know Southeast Asia and America and Northern America and Europe. So Southeast Asia in Northern America and Europe. I know on Android they probably get about, they used to get about 90,000 logins a week, but it's down to about 72,000. But that doesn't include iOS as well. So I don't know how big our market is. I know that during KOA 3, we had a max, like at one point we had like 2,000 viewers on YouTube. Over on the Chinese, I think it's Chinese, they had 18,000 active viewers. We had 2,000. They had 18,000. The market is significantly different than ours. Anyway, so let's get back to that season 7 data, right? So China, you saw 63 and 40, and then in Southeast Asia, you saw 58. I did not have the ability to calculate NAEU. You guys are going to get mad at me, but I don't. NAEU is not a reliable source of information. I know you guys are going to be mad at me for saying that. But it's because our market is significantly smaller. You know, like as an example, if I become a top tier lawyer, and I become a top tier survivor's lawyer, well, it's also because we have such a smaller market. That doesn't mean that lawyer is now the best survivor, right? So it's a lot easier to manipulate the data on our server. So that's why you look at a server with a bigger sample size. So then I went back and I tried to look at the top 100 in a different season. And see if I can find it. All I know is that the last time I checked it, the hunters' win rates went down and the survivors' win rates went up. But it became more even. The last time I checked it, it might have been season 9. It was like 58-56 on China. Or 58-54. I didn't have the ability to check. I did actually check Southeast Asia. I can't remember what it was on NAEU on the top of my head. So that's where it gets difficult trying to balance the game, because you have to worry about China, which is the biggest market. But then when there's adjustments, you don't know how it's going to affect the other servers, because some of the other servers, the hunters may not be as good, or the survivors may be better, or people don't play on computer as much. So that's where it kind of comes into play in regards to balance. I know that was a very, very long way to answer your question, but in terms of nerf and decoding, where's the data that says that survivors are doing significantly better? I would say the best inclination of that on our server is the fact that queue times are so long. Nobody wants to play hunter. So that's kind of like where we're at. All right, Persuadable, how come you don't grow that sexy beard again? I'm on quarantine and I can't keep it in shape, so I just shave it off. I'm looking like a Dragon Ball Z character. Watch gameplay, people sent you an MC it. You won't. I used to. I'm more so trying to look for the high tier content for now, to be honest. Here is my chicken. Cow Moo, what's going on? That's super nice of you. I don't have my notifications set up on YouTube. Persuade, are you gonna get merch? Oh, merchandise. I'll do merchandise maybe after 50,000 subscribers. I'm not in a rush to do. I'm not in a rush to sell you guys shit. I'm not in a rush to tell you guys to download a certain app so I can collect advertisement money. I'm not in a rush to sell you guys merchandise right now. I'm just chilling, man. Well, we can get to that later and stuff, but that's not right now. That's super nice of you to ask. I want to make sure I have a cool logo beforehand. Hunter sees one of the survivors named Persuadable. Also, Hunter, I have what you call persuadable phobia. I'm not a good hunter, man. I would only be a good hunter if I moved back into the East Coast where my ping was at 50. That was when I was a top 20 hunter. It's easier to be a top survivor than what it is to be a top hunter, hands down. If you do, we need a chicken nugget. Sure, we can do it. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Don't remind me. Dude, I love chicken nuggets way too much. It's so unhealthy, but I can't stop. I just love chicken nuggets. Fuck. Devs need to listen to the high tiers, not low and mid tiers. Sorry, not sorry. I think that a lot of the high tiers are the biggest bitches in the game. To be honest with you, I think high tiers can be some of the most whiny people in the entire game because there's such a sense of entitlement. There's such a sense of I know better than the developers, so I need to tell you. Now, NetEase and them can't say that. I think that high tiers can be incredibly whiny. I think that they can be incredibly prideful, somebody who's been there. And sometimes high tiers can be the worst people at adapting at a game when there's change because they're so used to what's familiar. So did I just make a lot of enemies right there? If I made a lot of enemies there, my bad. Just remember that doesn't include you if you're not that sort of person. That's why, like, you guys don't hear me talk too much about balance anymore. Like, actually, you know what's super funny? Okay, here's this. People were showing me photos of my old post when I said that the Feaster change was better for Feaster, which it was. When I said that the Priestess nerf wasn't bad, and in Koa 3, her rate went up to 25%. That's the problem. When people, whenever these characters come out, the only character I think I really missed the mark on was Mad Eyes. I really thought Mad Eyes was useless. I'm not gonna lie. I was so off the mark on that. But we were right about Perfumer. We were right about Seer. We were right about Thief. We were right about Prospector. We were right about Enchantress. I don't think I had a position on Dream Witch. I think I shut up about her. And that's hard for me to shut up. But I remember I kind of left that one alone. I think. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong because I'm a guy. We're wrong about a lot of things. Either way, you're going to be wrong. But 75% of the time, we're right. With the analysis we have, we're right. And we have a good model of using data and trying to predict the things that we feel are going to be pertinent. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. It happens, and it's a good way. That's actually the scientific process. There's many times where you look at your research and you're like, shit, I could have done a better job, and that makes your research in the future better. So, hold on. Yeah, so that's the other thing. Gardener is A tier, huh? I don't know how I feel about that. I may be biased. Was Gardener used in Koa at all? She wasn't used in Koa at all. She was used. She was used once. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the data. She was used one time. So do I think Gardener is A tier? My gut instinct is no, I don't think Gardener is A tier. I don't think Gardener has ever been A tier. I don't think there's ever really been too many stats that suggested that she was A tier. I think she's a solid B tier character. If she was A tier, we would have seen her more in the tournament. Usually A tier character. I mean, that's not always true though. It depends on how you quantify it. It depends on how you quantify your tier list. Let me put it this way. She's very good in the beginning for 50 seconds, and that's it. So if you're going to tell me that because she can absorb one hit in 50 seconds, that she's an A-tier character, I'm not sure if I agree with that. And if she was an A-tier character, she wouldn't have been buffed the way that she got buffed. The devs don't even agree that the Gardener is an A-tier character, because if it's an A-tier character, they wouldn't add an additional buff. I talk to the devs. I know how they think. So if they're buffing Gardener, they're trying to make her more viable. The best gardeners still don't even have above. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about magician, but magician has actually been historically used. And the reason why magician is not used right now is because you have players like enchantress and prospector. So the real question is I don't think that gardener belongs in A tier. I don't think she ever was A tier. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that she was ever A tier. The real question is are characters like magician now B tier as well? But the devs wouldn't take an A tier character and continue to buff them. Now you could make the argument, well, they would try to make them S tier. Well, I mean that is an argument as well, but that's not really an argument in my opinion. I think Gardner is more of a B tier character. If she was A tier, we would have probably have seen her more in the tournament, and that's why the character tier list needs to be overhauled a little bit. But it also depends on how you define your character tiers. My problem with character tier list in general, this has nothing to do with Identity 5, is that nobody tells me what they're measuring. How are you going to make a character tier list and you can't tell me what the difference is between S and A tier? Or like when you have like a A plus and an A minus tier, what the fuck is the difference between, like what is the big difference between each tier, right? So you have to define it. You have to define what that difference is. There's nothing wrong with your character tier list as long as I know how you're measuring it. That's it. And in research, we call that operationalization. There's a difference between conceptualization and operationalization. And like we talked about this on my live feed, right? Bear with me, guys, right? Say if you're going to measure whether men or women are more affectionate, right? So you have this idea. I want to measure who's more affectionate on average, men or women. Well, how do you measure what affection is? Do you measure it by holding hands? Do you measure it by smiling? Does that now mean that every time you go to Walmart and you have a customer smile at you, that means that they want to love you, right? So how do you define how do you define what affection is? And that's the conceptualization part of research. And then the operationalization part of research is when you start giving specific points as to how you're going to measure that, right? So say if I'm saying, okay, I want to measure the difference between a men and women with affection, and I'm going to measure it based on every time, one reaches to hold hands with another person. That's part of operationalization. So when I'm reading your research, I know that you're trying to measure affection based on something that you measured by operationalization, or that you defined by operationalization. This is a very important part in research and statistics. Now, if you just come out with a research study and you say, okay, we're going to measure affection between men and women, but you don't tell me what the fuck is affection. That changes depending on culture. That changes depending on people, not even gender, but people, right? Some men are very affectionate and some men are not. They show it in different ways, right? So how do you measure it? So operationalization is trying to define that. You start telling them what you constitute as a measurement, right? So my problem with character tier lists is what is S tier? No, I'm serious. Chat, I want you to answer this question. What is S tier? What is the difference between S tier and A tier? What is the difference between, something that's quantified, that we can measure? What is the difference? So in my attempt to measure that, I say, okay, S tier is what we see for the most part in tournament gameplay at the most. What characters are being banned? You see that mercenary, you saw the mechanic. So S tier was never really controversial because we did a good job at measuring it. And then A tier was always like, all right, these are characters that you're also going to see a lot of the time in tournament gameplay, or you're going to see them all the time in legendary rank mode. Right? So this is where it gets complicated. Now in research, there's always a problem with methodology, right? So no matter how you measure affection, you can always look at it and say there's problems with that, right? Because affection is you're never going to measure that perfectly. You can only measure it to the best of human ability. And it comes to the same thing with character tier lists. You can measure S tier and A tier, but no matter how I define A tier, there's always going to be an issue with it, right? And that's fine. That's part of the research process. It's actually a beautiful thing. So how I define A tier was, okay, The problem here is that we have tournament gameplay and rank gameplay that we have to consider. It's not just tournament tier list, rank tier list. It's tournament and rank. So it's like, all right, A tier is going to be a tier list where we see these characters played the most in tournament or legendary rank mode. Gardener doesn't fit in S or A tier, guys, with how I define it. So then what is B tier? Well, B tier were traditionally characters that you may very, very rarely ever see in tournament gameplay, but they're still pretty good. You're still going to see them in legendary rank mode, and that's fine, right? There's nothing like a Mind's Eye. If you see a Mind's Eye in legendary rank mode, you're not going to be completely like, whoa, like you would with a lawyer before the buff, right? So B tier was always traditionally that, like, I could see why you're a good character. That was Cat was the best cowboy, and Cat said that cowboy was a B tier character, not an A tier character, right? Because he understood how to measure it. He understood what S, A, and B tier was, and how, at least how I measured it, right? You can measure it differently, by the way, and that's okay. So that's going to change your results, which is why you need to go and read the methodology. And then when you have people who come out with character tier lists, but you don't know how they're actually defining it, there is no way for you as a person to disagree with it because you don't know how it's measured. You don't know what the differences are, right? So how I measure it. So when you're asking me about my character tier list, S tier is always the stuff that you're going to see usually banned first or heavily used. A tier is going to be the characters who really aren't banned a lot, but they're usually the characters you're still going to see in tournament gameplay because the S tiers were banned. All right. Gardener doesn't fit in that tier. Ever. Never has, never will. Gardeners are hardly ever used in legendary rank mode. Come on. So in B tier, that's the question. Could you see them in a tournament? Yeah, I could see a cowboy in a tournament because we have. Could I see them in legendary rank mode? Yeah, for sure. She's a comfortable B tier. She's never been an A tier. And you guys at least, and here's the good thing, you guys now have the information to disagree with me. You might say, wow, why is Persuadable trying to convince me that Gardener is not A tier? I'm actually trying to tell you how I measure it. I'm giving you the information for you to come up with your own conclusion and for you not to listen to me. But I still have never found a better way to measure the difference between S, A, and B. Right? And then when you add the plus and minus, shit gets all confused. Dumb. S, A, B, like you got to have a difference between them. You got to be able to measure it. So when I give you the argument, the difference between A and B tier, right? You can now figure out a way, you know what? Like that's the whole point. Do you think Explorer is B tier? I don't think Explorer is B tier. Explorer was never good, so that's why we see Explorer in C tier. So what's the difference between B tier and C tier? Well, C tier is the characters that, theoretically you could still win in legendary rank mode, but are you going to see them? No. You going to see them in tournament gameplay? Nah. So my problem with character tier list is that if you don't definitively tell me how you're measuring each individual category through operationalization, I can't have an honest discussion with you because you're not telling me how you're measuring it. You're just taking a whole bunch of characters and you're just telling me whether they're good or not. Well, the difference between opinions and trying to employ the scientific method is just trying to go through a process to make it the best that it can be. And even when you do that, there's still problems with it. You guys are actually learning. I was a teacher assistant at the University of Rhode Island in sociology under Dr. Medera. So I have helped teach and helped had kids learn research methods. And the whole point of science is that it's never perfect. If I give you a research study, I actually expect you to tell me what the limitations are. Because the majority of research, there's limitations to them, whether it's funding or whether it's sample size, or, if you look at a research study and it says, 90%, we had 500 participants, 400 of them were women, and we're measuring who likes football. Well, there might be a problem with your methodology with your sampling because you didn't really get a good comparison between men and women. You have a problem with your population, right? You have a problem with your sample. So no matter what results you give me, when you measure 400 women and 100 men as to how many Americans like football, well, there's a problem with the methodology. So you can go and say this is what the research suggests, but the research is wrong or fundamentally flawed because your methodology was very flimsy. So when it comes to like a character tier list, the question is what is your methodology? And what do you think is best? And no matter how much you try to make it as good as it is, it will never be perfect, ever. I went on a rant, didn't I? Did I? Do you guys understand where I'm coming from, though? Like, that's statistics. You guys are actually learning about research methods right now. That's actually college level introductory to research that you guys are learning. And it's a cool thing because when you come out with that sort of tier list, you should at least define it. I think that the people who make Identity 5 character tier lists, I think they do a pretty good job. I think iAlien does a pretty good job with his character tier list. I think other YouTubers do a pretty good job with their character tier list. But it's other video games that I go on, like, that I'm trying to watch and stuff. And I'm like, how are you measuring it? Like, I need to know how you're measuring it. Like, there's Dead by Daylight Survivor tier lists, and they tell me how they measure it. Well, these characters have S tier perks. These characters have A tier perks. You know, A tier is for characters who have 1A, you know, like they measure. I need to know how you're measuring it. How am I allowed to disagree or look at your research when you're not giving me your methodology? That's like me giving you a research study and say, hey, 90% of women are attracted to persuadable. And then you later like, where's the research on that? Who were you asking? Were you asking your YouTube, or were you at like, where's that number coming from? Oh, well, I didn't really run a poll. I'm just kind of going on gut. Well, if you make a character tier list and you don't tell me how you're measuring it, then that's what you're doing. You're just kind of taking a bunch of characters and you're throwing them in a category with no real thought into them. And yeah, so with all due respect, I genuinely think that Gardener is a B tier character. How I define it, what do you guys think? You can disagree with me. That's okay. How I define, you guys now know how I define it. S tier are the really big, like we're going to ban them first, or we're going to see them all the time in the tournament, like 90% of the time, or 75. A tier are the characters that you're going to see like all the time in legendary rank mode. You're never going to be like, oh, that's kind of a weird choice, right? These are the remember, Cats used to be the #1 cowboy, and he still said that cowboy was a B tier character. So how are you going to put Gardener in that A tier? I just disagree with how I define it. I think that Gardener is a B tier character. And I think that you guys should listen to how other people are defining it. Because if they define it differently, then that means that their character tier lists aren't wrong. It means that that's what they feel is right relative to how they're measuring it. But I would not say Gardener is an A tier character. I only use Gardener when I want to troll. So, but why? All right, if she was an A tier character, you should feel confident knowing that you will make the difference between you winning the game or not. I just feel like Gardener doesn't bring that element. My honest argument is that I think Gardener would, like tournament gameplay, if you're good at rotation, you won't have the ability to use her 50-second immunity. Her 50-second immunity essentially says, I don't know how hunters rotate. I don't know the hunter spawns. So I need this in case I get hit, which is good against like Blood Queen and stuff. I think Gardener is a great character for newer players and introductory players. I think really so. But when you become I would like an honest tier 6 to come in here and tell me that Gardener is the biggest difference for their own gameplay. And if that's the case, then work with me. I promise you I can teach you rotation. So I think she's a solid B tier character. I say that with all due respect. I hope that you guys, and I get passionate. I'm actually not passionate about Gardener. I get passionate about research and data. So when I went on this huge tirade, it was just simply because I was talking about operationalization. But you know what? Fuck Persuadable. He doesn't even come out with character tier lists anymore. At least other players are. At least other players are attempting to do it. I get so intimidated with trying to be as accurate and precise and concise as possible that I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this. So the hell with Persuadable. At least other people are taking a shot at it, right? So will I come out with another character tier list? Well, the last time I did, I had an anxiety attack on live feed. That sucked. Oh shit. I'm not saying anything. We'll just take a look at it. At least other people are taking a shot at it. So I'm just saying, guys. Come on, man. There's no way Gardner A tier. You're a solid B tier character. What's wrong with B tier? B tier characters are fun. B tier characters are fun. Those are like the character. Those are like the I don't know. I don't want to start running off names because I really have to look at what the data suggests. But it's not. I think what happens is that a lot of characters got downgraded, and you see top tier, Gardeners over in China with like 8,000 points. And then you look at the top magicians and they're at 8,000 points, but it's because nobody wants to play magician anymore because it's so damn old. It's not that magician isn't as good. It's that nobody wants to play magician because that's all we really had for a long time. You had magician, thief, and perfumer if you wanted to play competitively. And now a lot of competitors are tired of playing the same damn old character. Same thing with thief. Thief is gone. The only one that's really lived is perfumer. Let me put it this way. Let me give you guys a rule of thumb. The devs will never take an A tier survivor and make that a priority to buff them. Ever. It won't happen. It won't happen. You'll see is S tier characters being nerfed. We've seen that with Priestess at one point. We saw that with Mechanic at one point. We saw Forward get his nerf. They don't take A tier characters and make them stronger. They take S tier characters and make them weaker. Or if a character falls off to B tier, they make them stronger. So Gardner's never been an A tier character ever. Probably never will be. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So you guys are learning an important aspect of research. I do think she's A tier. Imagine in a game with Cypher Rush with an extra shield that's going to buy you a ton of time. I don't get how she's not A tier. So understand that your argument literally just started with imagine. Your argument started with imagine. So you're asking me to imagine some hypothetical or theoretical cause. Listen, a lot of top hunters that, first of all, you should know how to rotate, right? But with that extra shield, etc., all that stuff, she has no real kiting potential other than tight kiting. There's a reason why we hardly ever see her in tournament gameplay, and there's a reason why she's never used in legendary rank mode. So if we were to go on theoretical stuff, you might as well say, well, how is Cowboy B tier? Imagine if he hits his lassos every time somebody goes down. Ow, excuse me. So that's my problem when we talk about imagine if Embalmer, that gets difficult when we start imagining certain scenarios. Let me put it this way. If a character is really A tier, we would see the numbers benefit that. And Gardener is really nothing spectacular on really any of the servers. That's why she's a solid B tier character. If you put Gardener at A tier, you might as well just get rid of character tier list and put the majority of people at S and A tier. So that's my problem with the show. Just because I say a character is not A tier doesn't mean that she can't be used competitively or she can't be used in a tournament. But Airx, if you're gonna say that Gardener is A tier, are you really gonna put her in the same category as Prospector? Unless you're so here's my argument, Airx. Is Prospector S tier or A tier? You're going to put Gardner on the same level as Prospector, despite the tournament having way more prospectors and more teams that won using prospectors, right? No, I'll disagree with you, my friend. There's the way that I measure it, I feel like it doesn't add up. But you're allowed to disagree with me, right? You're allowed to disagree with me, and you're allowed to have a difference in opinions. That's actually really what science is all about. It's about looking at the data and drawing different conclusions or similar conclusions, or feeling like it was inconclusive. I don't think that if Gardner was A tier, we'd be seeing her used more in tournament gameplay, in my humble opinion. I would not say Gardner and a Prospector on the same level field. And that's just how I would measure it. Unless your argument is that she's A tier and Prospector would be S tier. But then you would have to tell me why Prospector is S tier when you have other characters who are used more. But that's actually another discussion that we could have. Persuadable, would you say a good Embalmer buff would be... If Embalmer gets a buff, I wouldn't be surprised over time. But remember, again, guys, that's the whole purpose of a character tier list. You're allowed to have your opinions. You're allowed to have your thoughts and your beliefs. And this discussion, right? This discussion is actually a great discussion because it shows you that, and I mean this seriously, it shows you that people can disagree with how they measure the validity of certain characters. And that's totally fucking cool. Because at the end of the day, like for instance with Airx, at the end of the day, we're having a great discussion about the video game, something that we both share in common, and that should be more of a rewarding conversation than not. Now you can be passionate about it and stuff, right? Like I'm not telling Airx that they're completely wrong, they don't know what they're talking about. Airx has been playing for a long time. Airx is a great person. Airx has a lot of expertise within the game. But really, this conversation, it should be a good conversation, and it is a good conversation. And that's how I would recommend you guys all when you talk about these character tier lists, because it's not like you're looking at two organisms under a microscope and you watch how they interact and then you report the chemical reaction. This is all abstract things that we are trying to define. You guys, if you tell me that you don't like science and you don't like statistics and you don't like math and research, I hope you know that you are doing it right now. You are doing all of that stuff right now. It's that people have taught you these subjects in a very boring, mundane manner, which has turned you off. But the conversation that we're having, we are trying to measure something abstractly through the process of conceptualization and operationalization. We're trying to define how we met. This is a great thing. Listen, guys, I know... there's this whole like fuck education little movement going on and stuff like that. But this is the conversation that we're having right now, if you just apply it to like vaccinations or you apply it to global warming or any other controversial subject, you'll realize that if you understand science and research, you'll have a better argument. And the idea is by using science, you try to just refine your argument, right? So like the conversation like where I challenge Airx, right? I said, you just say Gardner's A tier. You're really going to put Prospector and Gardner in A tier. I'm challenging Airx. And Airx says, yes, I do. Right? And that's Airx's way of defining where Airx feels Gardner's worth is at. And that's actually a beautiful process. It's a good process. You should welcome being challenged. Right? Airx isn't typing right now saying, fuck you, Persuadable. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not saying that back to Airx, right? But just like, you really going to define Gardner and Prospector in the same zone, right? Airx is like, fuck yeah. I'm like, hell no, right? But at the same time, it's a great conversation. And that's how these discussions should be going, to be honest with you. I mean that. I wanted to look up some of the top numbers on prospectors, but this sort of conversation also helps me improve as well, because at the end of this conversation, right, we can talk about this right now. What you need to know is that when we talk about this, right, when you challenge me, when you question me, I'm going to tell you my thoughts right now. But that doesn't mean that when I click off this live feed that I'm not going to think about it and continue to think about it and continue to wonder, am I right on this? Do I feel like I'm right? Rather, not whether I'm right or not. Do I feel like I'm right? If you think you're right on something, it can be a little difficult. But do I feel like I'm right? Like, do I feel comfortable with where I'm at? And so I know for a fact that when I click this live feed off, I'm going to be looking at Gardner. I'm going to be looking at Prospector. I'm going to be looking at Magician. And that's one of the beautiful parts of these sorts of conversations. I think that it should be a good conversation, right? And I know that people have disagreed with my character tier list. That's fine. As long as you tell me why. You know? Like I had one guy who was like, your character tier list sucks. And it's like, well, my character tier list was based on running data on 7,000 players. My character tier list consisted of 7,000 players between China, Southeast Asia, Northern America, and Europe. So when I came out with my last character tier list, you could say it sucks, but with how I measured it and how the data came out, that's what we came up with, right? And I do know that after my first character tier list, I learned a lot. I was off on there were things that I had to learn, things that I had to explain better, define better. So these discussions help me as much as I'm hoping that I'm helping other people. And at the end of the day, there are going to be two people who never agree on the same thing. And you know what? That's totally fucking fine. Because at the end of the day, at least we're having a conversation about something we have in common. And I can appreciate that life. But if you're going to tell me, now we're going to get back to Erex. If you're going to tell me that the best prospector and the best gardener will give you the same assets in the same match, I'm going to be like, nah, hell no. I'd rather have a prospector, a good prospector. What is a good gardener? What does that even mean? What, are you just knowing to take down chairs? A prospector can single-handedly change the entire match of a legendary rank mode. Gardener does not have that, even on a theoretical, I guess early game. But a prospector can change a very bad early game into a very good late game, whereas a gardener cannot. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to just say it. Gardener B tier for now. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. That's okay. It's totally cool. I do understand the strength of Gardner. And that's why I don't think that she's C tier. I think she's B tier. Best way to beat Bloody Queen, rotating. Rotating is the big thing against Bloody Queen. You gotta know where you gotta memorize the spawns, and you gotta memorize rotating. Let's see, Prospector and Enchantress are both really annoying legendary, but I personally ban Enchantress because of her sudden stuns. Hey, imaginary friend, I got a question for you. Have you ever banned a Gardener? If you could ban 5 characters, would Gardener be one of them? If you could ban 10 survivors, would Gardener be one of them? I probably would not choose Gardener. Well, 10's a lot, though. That's a big number. That's not fair. 5, I'd probably pick Mercenary, Forward. I don't even know if I'd pick Mechanic anymore. It's a different discussion. Mercenary, Forward. Probably Priestess still. I'd probably still ban. I'd probably ban an Enchantress. And the problem with Prospector is that we don't have as many good people on the server using Prospector, to be honest with you. Maya, bro, persuadable, stop talking about Gardner. No, I will talk about what I want when I want. Thank you for your concern. Think about the fundamentals of the game. Gardner doesn't help you much. Mechanic is still good. So, hi Tinu, I'm hearing a lot of complaints about the mechanic nerf. There's a lot of high tiers right now who are really bitching a lot. So that's why I haven't come out with a video, y'all. I'm like trying to take my time with that one. Why haven't I come out with a I'm taking my time with that one. That's gonna be some hot water. Yeah, Prospector is more annoying since he can, yeah. Let's see, Merc, Seer, Forward, Priestess, Prisoner. Yes, Prisoner is underrated, I think. I really think that Prisoner is underrated, but I don't have enough information to talk about that confidently. Any of you could manipulate me right now. Who is a good counter to Bloody Queen? Bloody Queen is just an animal. That's why she's banned the most. That's why she's S tier. Where do you rank Wu Chang after buff? I don't know. I'd rather say I don't know than just throw out a random number. LOL, we love you, Persuade. I get in trouble sometimes. So when all she gets is 50 seconds shield early game, right? Yeah, but that can add an incredible value to a gardener depending on which hunter you're using. So why would you use that if you could use the Seers? Yeah. Hey Persuade, do you think people would switch from mechanic to prisoner? I don't know the answer to that yet. I really don't. I'd rather say I don't know than come out with a random answer. The best counter to Blood Queen right now, if you guys want to know what's been happening in China since, I'd say season 7? Maybe season 8. And we saw a lot more of that in this tournament. You'll see a lot more Priestess, Mercenary, Forwards. The idea is that I'm going to cut you, and we're going to slow the game down, and we're going to get accelerated decoding. And that actually happens a lot in Legendary rank mode too. I'm going to be honest, Gardener is the counter to the meta hunters. Her buff allows her to last long, and the hunters that are meta here, have a goal getting everyone injured. So that's based on a 1 in 4 chance. You guys, the problem, in my humble opinion, with your analysis on Gardener is you guys are looking at her first 50 seconds and then you just declared her pretty much a god. She doesn't offer any additional kiting like a mercenary does. She can absorb a hit, that is true, but a lot of hunters can transition away. She would probably, your better argument is that Gardener would be theoretically better on big maps. Because on big maps, if a hunter doesn't have teleport, and if he comes across a Gardener, then they're going to have to make a quick decision. Alright? Now the thing is that with the meta hunters such as Blood Queen, a Gardener is not going to be able to kite a Blood Queen too well. So a Gardener would absorb a hit from a good Blood Queen, right? And that is a true thing. However, I don't see how the first 50 seconds makes her an A tier character. What if I don't come across a Gardener in the beginning? What does she offer me? I don't think a character should be A tier based on the first 50 seconds of the match. It makes no sense. Perfumer has things that she can offer at all points in the match. Even after the first 50 seconds. Seer can, Mercenary can, Forward can, Prospector can, Enchantress can. Literally every single character in A tier can offer something after the first 50 seconds. Except her. And that is why, in my opinion, she's a B tier character. She's situational, just like Cowboy. Your B tier characters are your situational characters. That's your Cowboy users. That's your Gardener characters. Those are characters that can still be, a hunter can still lose. But my question is if you put Gardener in A tier, the majority of the characters will probably be S, A, and B. There won't be no C tier, no. So it depends on how you define it. I just don't think the first 50 seconds makes her an A. She's a situational character. You might as well put Mind's Eye in A tier as well, right? Do you guys have Mind's Eye in A tier? People were saying Gardener. Do you have Gardener, Mind's Eye, Cowboy, Prospector? They're all A tier under your character tier list, right? Because Cowboy's a situational character, and there's a reason why the common consensus is that he's not A tier. He's B tier. Mind's Eye would probably be more B tier than A tier, and that's why we never see her in competition. But she can still have a lot of worth. Mind's Eye is a situational character. If the hunter finds a Mind's Eye early game, it's detrimental. A good hunter against a good Mind's Eye will kill a Mind's Eye. That's why we don't see top Chinese players use her. Same thing with Cowboy. It's a situational character. Now, situational characters does not mean that you can't win. Situational characters does not mean that there aren't competitive advantages. It just means that there's a situation for it to work. And with Gardener, there's a situation for that to work. I think Gardener would be better played on big maps because if Gardener and Mercenary are on the same team, there's a 50% chance that you can waste their early game. And that's under the pretense that the Hunter's not going to hit you 3 times. I don't like having A tiers based on imagine arguments, right? That's like saying Mind's Eye should be S tier. Imagine if Mind's Eye is never found. Well, yeah, and she's S tier. Right? So that's why that's how I define them. That's just my opinion. And it's okay if you disagree with me. Prospector is very versatile. And that's one of the reasons why he's an A tier character. He has a lot of versatility. He can stun, he can kite, he can do it in the beginning of the match, he can do it at the end of the match, he can do it late game. I mean, he gets a boost there. He's got a lot going on for him. If you're going to tell me that Gardener offers all of that stuff, a very good prospector isn't going to get hit in the first 50 seconds anyways. He doesn't need a shield. Prospector shouldn't be played as forward. Prospector, actually my top Chinese players would disagree with you. There were instances in a tournament where a prospector would go in and try to stun a hunter to allow a survivor to get away if it was their second time going on a chair. And that's a common strategy regardless of prospector. So, but you're not actually wrong because, yeah, you shouldn't be playing as a forward. You're right. You shouldn't be playing as a forward. But actually, I don't know, because forward, you should both be decoding. You should both be decoding. And then a forward's going to position themselves for sure. But a prospector is trying to help you after the rescue. I see where you're coming from with that. I do. But a prospector should try to help you out. That's why we see him in the tournament as well. Persuade, not every character in an A tier is equal. So technically, you could say prospector is better, but that doesn't make Gardener B tier because someone in the same tier is better. It's a good point. The character tier list is supposed to represent a realm. But then if you put Gardener in A tier, I'd really like to know where you put Cowboy and Mind's Eye. And if you're going to tell me that a Gardener is better than a Cowboy in Mind's Eye, if you take the best Cowboy player against the best Gardener player, you're going to tell me you'd rather have that Gardener player? Because you would if you said Gardener was a an A tier character. I still disagree with that. Man, this is like we should just rename this the Gardener roast. But Eric, you're not wrong. The tier list are supposed to represent a realm of, okay, A tier, there may be some characters who are better than other characters, but they're within the realm of a reasonable within a reasonable limit within one another. And I think that limit is stretched. I think that's the best way I could say it. Going against Geisha as prospector is so much fun, I gotta be honest. Yeah. Gardener versus Feaster. Persuadable, basically. Toronto versus... I don't know what that is. Oh, John Tato versus Boo Tato. Oh, I got you. I like them both. I was just talking to John Zhao the other day about Gardener. John is an old buddy of mine. I really like John. John's a great person. Do you think Wildling should be a kiter and not a rescuer? No, not too many hunters are going to go after a Wildling. I think Gravekeeper has good potential as well. All right, guys. I think I'm going to get off live feed for now. We've had some great disagreements. Arex, I want to thank you for giving me your opinions. Maya, I'd like to give to thank you as well for giving me your opinions. And everybody else who decided to contribute to the conversation, I want to thank you guys. Remember, this is supposed to be a good time for us to challenge each other. I mean that. It should be a great time for us to kind of duke it out a little bit, question each other, be like, nah, fuck that, yo, Gardener A tier, nah, Gardener B tier. I love it. It makes me think. And I can guarantee you that when this live stream is over, I'm going to keep thinking about it. I mean that. So don't think you didn't get anywhere. I'm going to present the arguments as to how I feel right now, but I promise you that after this live feed, I will think about it. I'll think about it. I'll continue to challenge myself. I may not agree with you. I may not buff. I don't know. But I will think about it. I'll look at some of the numbers and stuff like that. Again, I think that Gardner, that 50 seconds can be very dangerous. I just think that it's very situational. And I think that it is so situational. That's why we don't really see her too much. That's just my opinion. I want to thank you guys for challenging me. Thank you for providing some good feedback. And the other thing is that other than one time, I don't think the stream collapsed. I think it only collapsed like one time and it came back within 20 seconds, which isn't bad. And we've been up for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. Next live feed, none of you people ask me about Gardner. I'm done with this guy. I'm just kidding. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.